Welcome into the More Than Philly Sports Network. We have some breaking news here at the bottom of the hour, 1:33 p.m. here on the East Coast. Carson Wentz, less than 2 hours ago, traded to the Indianapolis Colts. In return, the Philadelphia Eagles getting a 2021 third-round pick and a 2022 conditional second-round pick that will become a first-round pick if Carson Wentz either plays 70% of the snaps and makes the playoffs or just 75% of the snaps for the Indianapolis Colts. Still a $33.5 million cap hit for the Philadelphia Eagles next year. As always, you're alongside my co-host, Gavin Tony. Gavin, this is quite some breaking news today. I called it a couple weeks back. We said at this point, if Carson Wentz wants out, it's inevitable. You have a guy in Jalen Hurts that you can begin to build around to see if he will work. There are interested suitors for him, Carson Wentz, to the Indianapolis Colts. That's where I thought would be a good fit for him. First of all, Gavin, how you doing? Welcome on, and let's get some of your thoughts on this breaking news.
Zach, I'm doing great. It's really cold outside. I was really shocked by this news. I actually didn't know this news happened. You called and told me about it, but I'm not happy about this move. And it's not the fact that he left, it's the fact about who's still here. But Zach, you know how I feel about this. I'm going to support Jalen Hurts because that's the new quarterback. But Zach, let's break it down. How you doing today?
It didn't hit me by surprise at all. This was a pretty legitimate move. I think that the Eagles could have gotten more for him. I think Chicago was willing to give up a good amount more from what I hear, but Carson Wentz was not interested in being in Chicago, and the Bears weren't ready to give up that much if in return the quarterback didn't really want to be there. But Gavin, this is some substantial breaking news. There's not many ways to put it. Carson Wentz had a very bad season as Eagles quarterback, and the reasons for it can be because simply he regressed, or it could be because the O-line play was bad and the coaching was bad. Everything around that was bad. But this team built themselves in this offseason already. It's only been a little more than a week since the Super Bowl, and they got themselves a new head coach from the Indianapolis Colts. They thought this would fix Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz still wanted out. The problems, from what I hear, lie within the front office, and not even with Jeffrey Lurie. He was on good terms with Jeffrey Lurie. He was on good terms even with Nick Sirianni. Apparently, they had spoken a little bit and had talked over the phone. But some of the other reports that had come out, it appears that the problem was with Howie Roseman. I believe 97.5, The Fanatic, had reported that Carson Wentz was not taking any calls from Howie Roseman at all. And that's problematic and everything in between. Is that the main problem in Philadelphia? If it is, then the main problem in Philadelphia is still here because it drove Carson Wentz out of the city.
Zach, the main problem has been here for the past couple of years. Zach, you know what the real problem is? It's that man that gets all the power, that gets all the control. Zach, I said it once before earlier in the show. I said it last week, and I'm gonna say it today. As long as Howard Rosen, ladies and gentlemen, if you come to the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show, you know I don't use Howie's name. I'll call him Howard because he deserves a nickname. Howard Rosen is the problem. Let's see, Zach. Orlando Scandrick said it so. Who else said it? Malcolm Jenkins. There's probably a bunch other. Carson Wentz, your franchise quarterback, the guy you just paid $100+ million to, didn't he answer your calls? He answered the new coach's calls. He answered Jeffrey Lurie's calls. But Zach, when old Howard Roseman picked up the phone and called you, he hit decline. He didn't want to talk to you. There's a reason why. But my frustration doesn't just rely on Howard Roseman. It relies on the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, who I'm on great terms with, Zach, when I got the lucky chance to meet all the guys down there. Jeffrey Lurie introduced himself to me, a very nice person. But Zach, I have a problem with him today. This is the first time I'm going to say it. It's a revolving door, and you're ignoring the real problem. Zach, how many times are you going to let this person get away with what he's done? You're in cap crisis, and I know we're going to break into that in a little bit later. Zach, you're in cap crisis. Okay. You can't bring nobody in to help Jalen Hurts, and everybody that left has had a problem with your GM. Oh, and by the way, Zach, how many GMs get to survive past 4 coaching fires? Or 3, excuse me.
4 total head coaches. Andy Reid had a losing record ever since Howie Roseman was the GM. Howie Roseman, he was with him, of course. He was with Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and now will be serving with Nick Sirianni, some of the quarterbacks during that time. Of course, Sam Bradford, Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, Nick Foles, Mark Sanchez. The list goes on and on. This has been a terrible thing. In a year where I forget what draft it was, 2016 or 2017, where Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook are coming out of that draft, and you draft Donnell Pumphrey. On top of all of that, in a year where there's CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. You don't trade up for any of them. You sit right where you are at 21 because your quarterback led your team to the playoffs at 9-7. You could have gotten Justin Jefferson. Instead, you take Jalen Reagor, who didn't really prove much last year when you compare him to what the kid from LSU was doing. And now you have the 6th overall pick this year. You didn't get a lot in that trade. This is just not what this team needs. This organization is broken. They're broken from the front office down. For some reason, they can't stay healthy, which I don't know who you blame for that, honestly. I think it's just bad luck. But on top of all of that, you have a front office that's dysfunctional. They pushed their quarterback out of the city. What do you think they're going to do to Jalen Hurts? I feel bad for Jalen Hurts. Everyone defending him because they don't like Carson Wentz. Like, the same thing's going to happen to him, and you might all of a sudden realize now that it's not Wentz, it's your guy Hurts. You'll notice how much an organization like this has neglected their quarterback no matter how much guaranteed money they gave him. I get they gave him a lot of money. They have a $33.5 million cap crisis this year. Hopefully the Colts maybe will renegotiate terms with him that might help out, but it's unlikely even with the cap going to around $180 million, which is $5 million more than what it was previously anticipated. You signed Alshon Jeffrey, Fletcher Cox, all these other guys to big money deals. Like there was no tomorrow. The team is crashing right now. The O-line is going to come back how it should next year. And again, we said this before, the O-line is going to fix itself, but you need to get some wide receivers, get an Allen Robinson in free agency, and go out and draft Devontae Smith or one of the other two guys, in either Waddle or the kid from LSU, Jamar Chase. I mean, is that going to fix all your problems? It depends how good the quarterback is and how good the coaching works. And yes, I mean, Hurts needs to work on his accuracy ASAP. He ran the ball a lot last year, and it covers up the holes temporarily. But Gavin, we know this. At some point, you're going to have to be a disciplined pocket passer. I don't want to say anything against Jalen Hurts, but I don't understand why we drafted him. I don't understand why you neglected Carson Wentz. I don't understand why you shoved him out of the city, knowing this year the $33.5 million consequence is sitting very big right now.
Zach, if I'm the Colts, I wouldn't restructure anything. Why would I have to pay for somebody else's mistake? Zach, this only going to cost me $20 million because he's here. I mean, Zach, they have money to spend. They can go out and go get a Kenny Galladay. They can go out and get a Shaq Barrett for the defense and still be fine at the end of the day. Why would I restructure to ruin my chances to help out somebody else's mistake? Zach, this offseason has been horrible from the jump. Zach, you get Nick Sirianni or Sirianni. I could care less because I didn't want him here to begin with. I'm going to give him a fair shot because, Zach, that's my personality. The obvious choice was with the Kansas City Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy. That's mistake number one. Number two goes back to last season where you don't get Justin Jefferson, who, by the way, made the Madden Pro Bowl. Zach, I guess that matters. He is a Pro Bowl, but it was Madden. It's like, I don't know. And then, not only that, you fail to get Carson Wentz any help or just fix any of the problems. It's the same problems to begin with. Zach, you bring back Deshaun Jackson, who I all love, and we know what D Jackson means to the city, but guess what? It's time to hang it up. Or if not hang it up, you can't come back. You played 1 to 4 games this year. I know the game versus the Giants wasn't his fault. It was a dirty hit. Giants fans, I don't forgive you for that. And then you get Jason Peters, who comes back for money and then says, no, I'm not playing guard. I'm playing tackle. And then gets beat at tackle, moves to guard, and gets beat there. But no one wants to talk about how he got benched because we're always going to blame Carson Wentz. But let's talk about how bad Jason Peters was, Zach. But no, Jason Peters, the bodyguard. He should have hung it up after the Super Bowl. In my honest opinion, Zach, and I hate saying that because I like Jason Peters. But that's the truth. He can't stay healthy. But at the end of the day, it's Carson Wentz's fault. You guys saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes out offensive line. Patrick Mahomes is not a bad quarterback. Neither is Carson Wentz. It's just you don't have offensive line. You're not going to get anything done. Zach, that's the meta. That's the recipe. If you can't make a burger without the meat, can you, Zach? You can't. Not at all. It's just going to be two patty. It's going to be two buns just sitting there. The offensive line was a big reason why Carson Wentz didn't have success this year and the lack of talent around him. And yes, Alshon Jeffrey, you aging dinosaur. No disrespect, but your time here is done as well. The only people I like on this team is Zach Ertz, who I think the real problem too, Zach, and I'm going to hand it to you, is this. The real problem with Carson Wentz and Howard Roseman had to start when Zach Ertz and Howard Roseman got into their argument about contract dispute. Because once again, Zach, who's the number one best? Who's Carson Wentz's number one guy here? Zach Ertz. When the contract didn't go the way it was supposed to go, and the argument started, I don't know if it was heated as some reports were early in the year. That got into Carson Wentz's head. Your number one guy is not going to be here. Their talks are trading him. Carson Wentz was checked out of the city this year, and I'm glad he's gone. Not in a rude way, in a good way. He doesn't deserve to be here. He doesn't deserve to be in this hot water. He's a good guy. Zach, the AO1 Foundation, the free food truck. I never want to hear anything bad about Carson Wentz off the field. It's just the lack of talent around this guy. But we saw what he could do with talent. Zach, 2017, a healthy Alshon Jeffrey. You had Torrey Smith here. You had LeGarrette Blount in the backfield. Why I named those two guys besides Alshon Jeffrey? Because they did things. They contributed when they were here, especially in the red zone. Give it to LeGarrette Blount.
Without a doubt. And so just for a frame of reference, Carson Wentz is going from the 19th ranked offensive line in 2020 with the Philadelphia Eagles to the 7th ranked Indianapolis Colts offensive line. Easily a top O-line in this league. Carson Wentz has had the number one overall offensive line twice. One time he was almost MVP. The other time he was the only quarterback in history to throw for 4,000 yards without a single receiver over 500. I mean, Frank Reich knows how to fix Carson Wentz. He knows what works with him. The simplicity of the game. Carson Wentz is 4 losses when the Eagles run the ball more than 25 times.
He has Jonathan Taylor now, too. Marlon Mack, Naheem Hines. My goodness. Dude, Zach, sorry to cut you off. You also got Quentin Nelson, the best guard in the game. Sorry, Zach Martin, but that's the truth. I'm going to call it the best guard in the game. Maybe, and when you have Brandon Brooks that's healthy, but I'm going to say the best guard in the game this year. Good for Carson Wentz, really.
No, I agree. And so that's going to be the question now as we shift over looking at Indianapolis. What are the expectations for the Colts this year? Look, they were a missed field goal away from going to overtime against Buffalo. I can't say they would have beat them in overtime. Buffalo was the better team. They proved that the next week by beating Baltimore pretty handily. But I think, frankly, for this team with Phillip Rivers, they won their division. I'm sorry, they didn't. They came in second in their division, wild card, and they were able to compete on the road against one of the best teams in the AFC with a guy in Phillip Rivers. So the question is, with Carson Wentz in the lineup, what is it going to look like? What are the expectations for Indianapolis this year?
With Zach, with Phillip Rivers, and I'm not really fond of Phillip Rivers. I thought his time too. But that defense is something to be rave about, Zach. That defense kept them in games, arguably won them some games. Talk about how they were a missed field goal away from going to the next round or going to overtime versus the Bills. Zach, This team is built all offense. This is arguably one of the most complete teams outside the Kansas City Chiefs in the National Football League. You have great linebacker play, great corners, great defensive line, great offensive line, great wide receivers, young up-and-coming wide receiver. Michael Pittman, who was also there, Zach, just to point that out there, since you're not going to get Justin Jefferson. Michael Pittman was also there in the second round when you had a chance, but you picked Jalen Hurts, no disrespect. But the Colts is the most complete team, and your question was, what is the expectations, Zach? The Chiefs are still going to be number one, in my opinion, in the AFC. I got to give it to Buffalo being next, and Deshaun Watson goes to Miami, maybe them being third. But the Colts are a top 5 team in the AFC, and top 4 to be exact, and they're sitting at number 4.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, Carson has less pressure than Carson Wentz and Howie Roseman. Having Carson Wentz lead gets him out of the hot water. But the hot water still exists for Eagles fans. Just because Carson Wentz is gone does not fix your problems. So the question is, what's the outlook for the Eagles this year? Your defense has actually improved over the past year or two, considering where they were about a year or two ago after the Super Bowl run. You have a good front four. The linebacking core is terrible. The secondary is underrated, but still not the best. And they're about at an average team. The run game on the other side of the ball is unknown because we never run the ball to start. The wide receiving core is bottom of the line, and the O-line is expected to come back better next year. So the question is, what are the expectations next year, Gavin, for the Philadelphia Eagles?
I hope 7-9 or 8-8. I want 500, Zach. I mean, think about it. The stuff that you named are still here. You don't have the best linebacking core, Zach. The linebacking core is subpar. Alex Singleton had a nice little year for him, but it's like it's not going to get the job done every year, especially for a whole season, COVID or not. I don't know what's next year's going to look like. Secondary is underrated. Zach, you're right. Darius Slay, outside that, I don't know who's going to be the number 2 guy. I do like Asante Samuel's son in the draft, the second round, if you want to talk about that.
Eagles did interview him.
And then the offensive problems are still here. They're still here. You look at this comment right here. It was a combination of bad route running and no line. Zach, you said it best. The line is going to come back healthy, better next year. Is Jason Kelsey going to stay? That's another question you got to ask yourself. But the problems are still here. Zach, getting rid of one person doesn't mean the problem's still here. And you're going to throw Jalen Hurts, who has arguably all the eyes are on him. All eyes on me, as Tupac said. But, Zach, all eyes on Jalen Hurts. The pressure's on because Carson Wentz in his first year went 7-9. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach. 7-9 in his first year. Then next year he turned it on. Zach, I don't say Jalen Hurts will do much this year. I 8-8, maybe 9-7 because how bad the NFC East is. But Dak Prescott is supposed to be coming back. I don't know what the shape of Washington's going to look like, but the defense is here. And you also have the fact that the New York Giants play football when they please to play football. It's not always when they want to play, they can't play. It's like, I don't know. It's not going to be playoffs, and if it is playoffs, it's not going to be Super Bowl. This move is not going to change a lot. We're far from a playoff team. And if we do make playoffs, it's going to be a low seed at best.
Look, I mean, the problems are still here. And I think it's funny because we talked about how everybody's like, oh my gosh, Carson Wentz is the leading problem on this team. He really isn't. And Gavin, as we talked about before, we saw what Mahomes did in the Super Bowl. He was under distress the whole time. That's what Jalen Hurts might look like this year if this team doesn't get their things figured out. But I do want to explore the options at the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts is more than likely going to be the starter week 1. Nate Sudfeld is your only on-contract other quarterback, which would make him the backup. I do have here the 2021 NFL free agent tracker. I'll just read off a few names here that are going to be free agents that I think the Eagles would have a serious shot at landing. Number 1, of course, Jacoby Brissett he was with Indianapolis before possibly a reunion with his former offensive coordinator. That could be a name to be a backup quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky just turned 27 years old. Of course, he had his tenure in Chicago. He's looking for a new start with a different team. Ryan Fitzpatrick, up there in age, could be a veteran backup to mentor. Tyrod Taylor, Andy Dalton once again. And then just going down the list, I mean, there's not many other names that are notable. Winston is going to be free agent again. And then it rounds out with a guy like Kyle Allen, who spent some time in Carolina and Washington. So of those names, Gavin, who would you like to see the most come into Philadelphia to be the backup quarterback?
None of them. If I had to pick one, it would be Jacoby Brissett or Ryan Fitzpatrick. Zach, none of these guys, except for one, and Jacoby Brissett, is appealing. But outside of that, there's nobody. I mean, Andy Dalton was like, we just saw what happened with Andy Dalton. It's like, Andy Dalton was so bad when he got late hit, none of his teammates came to run to his defense. Do you really want that here? I mean, please. He lost his no. Jacoby Brissett, I like that. I like that idea. He's nice. He has a couple games where he puts a couple nice stretches together and then can win a couple games here and there. But no, Zach, none of these guys are pleasing. None of them. Ryan Fitzpatrick throws a nice pass here and there. Jameis Winston, he's not leaving. Zach, I think Jameis Winston is going to stay with the New Orleans Saints and actually have a pretty great year down there. None of these guys are pleasing.
Mitchell Trubisky, not a name that you're interested in to be the backup quarterback on a cheap deal?
Listen, Mitchell Trubisky does need a restart. I do agree. I don't think it's going to be here. If you're trying to restart your career, it can't be here because you're not the guy here. Zach, personally, I got to meet him, nice guy. All right, but I don't think this is a spot he should be in. If I'm him, I would look somewhere else. Would you guarantee a chance? Maybe I don't know.
And possibly Miami, where he could be the backup and could come in next year if Tua struggles, which I don't think is going to happen. But look, there's a lot of options on the table for the Eagles. There are a lot of notable free agents that can come in as backup quarterbacks. At the moment, I don't think Nate Sudfeld's really the option behind Jalen Hurts. I would like to get Ryan Fitzpatrick as a veteran. But if you're not sold on Hurts, you're going to bring in a guy like Jacoby Brissett. You're going to bring in a guy like Mitch Trubisky to compete in camp. It's going to be a long road ahead. Hold on tight. We'll be here to cover. But with that being said, again, Carson Wentz being traded to the Indianapolis Colts. Before we wrap up today, Gavin, draft grades, for me, I give the Colts a B+ to an A-. I think that they did not give away a lot. In return, they got a hefty contract, though, and it's going to be a boom or bust with Carson Wentz. They have a lot of good pieces around him. They got to keep it simple and get him back to the form that he looks like he has been under Frank Reich before. For the Eagles, I give him a C-, a D. You did not get a lot in return, and you still have to pay a large amount of that contract. It's kind of a lose-lose contract-wise. But if he and the Colts succeed this year, Carson Wentz, that is, then it won't matter what they give up for him, even if it's a first-round pick next year.
Zach, I gotta give the Colts an A plus, because you didn't give up a first round pick this year. You didn't give it and you only gave it a second round, or excuse me, a third round of this year, and a compensatory of second round next year. Correct, right? That's what you only gave up. I gotta give you A plus for that, Zach. You still kept your first round pick. Zach, we wanted a first round pick, and that's it. You only have to pay $20 million of your coach this year. You still have money, and a lot of your players are under contract. Your Clint Dawson, Michael Pittman, Darius Leonard, they're still under contract. You're good to go. And if Carson Wentz is bad this year, you can get rid of him after 1 year, from if I understood that correctly. Now I get the Eagles an F. I really want to give him an L, but Zach, I gotta give him an F, because we know Carson Wentz work. You only got a third round, and a compensatory second round. Zach, you know what this deal looks like to me? It was, if he doesn't want to be here, fine, he doesn't want to be here. Just go. Whatever they give, just give it back. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like from me seeing right here today. That's what it looks like. You didn't get a first. I wanted a first, at least. Zach, I told you, I said, we just get a first and nothing else, I'll take it. Especially the year he had. You didn't get a first, and you still have to pay $30 million of that. The Eagles are the biggest losers today of the NFL.
Colin Cowherd called the Eagles achieving clown status earlier today. I don't always agree with what he says, but that is a take that unfortunately might be true. Look, the Eagles have a lot to prove this year. There's a lot of boomer bust here. They could come out and be a really good team. They also can come out and be an absolute dumpster fire. I'm hoping for the best as an Eagles fan. But it'll be fun to watch the Colts and the Eagles as they go up and play. Of course, the Bears, their QB situation still be to be determined. It is possible that we see Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, and Carson Wentz all starting on different teams this year, which would be kind of interesting to see as an Eagles fan, but it depends how the team ends up doing this year.
Zach, real quick before we go, I just gotta say something. It's kind of funny, all right? And it's like, I don't know if have you thought about it from this way? I'm explaining it to you. The Phillies sit across the street from Lincoln Financial Field. All right, they're closer than the Wells Fargo is. Zach, we can argue the metrics, but I view it that way. I really don't argue the metrics, but
I'll have to measure for you. When we go down there, we'll get a tape measure.
Yeah, please do. When you got a guy in John Middleton who refused to get rid of Matt Klentak because they're boys, they're best friends, and then you got the same thing going over here. What? This is cahoots. What they need to do, all right, and this goes for both. This goes for both organizations. You gotta look at the Sixers. You gotta look at them. You gotta look at the Flyers. The Flyers are somewhat winning. I gotta go ask Chris to make sure that statement I just said is good, correct. All right, it was scary last night. We're not talking basketball day, but my thing is this. The Sixers made business moves when they need to make business moves. They didn't keep guys around when they didn't deserve to be kept around. Zach, they brought in Daryl Morey after a year. Elton Brand makes another couple trades again. They bring in Daryl Morey. And what does Daryl Morey do? He makes his Daryl Morey trades, and next you know the Sixers say number one in the East. What's with these two organizations that sit in the back of the Wells Fargo Center that can't get their act together? They can't. They can't let go of people that need to get let go. Matt Klentak, that's a different story. I personally don't like you. That's fine. I don't know any other players or anything about you. You took JT Romero to the court. Forget you for that. When it comes to Howard Rosen, Zach, I don't know how many more players have to come out and speak against him. I don't understand it. What is with guys being kept here in a position because they're cool with their owners? I don't get it. If you're not doing your job well, if you're not performing your job, you need to get fired. Period. That's how it should be. Zach, if I wasn't doing the talk show good enough, I was bombing, if I wasn't having great takes, if I wasn't bringing great energy, I deserve to be fired because I'm not doing my job right. But apparently, and those two ownerships, just those two alone, that doesn't matter because of friendship over everything. That's how I view it as.
And it does not work out in the end, I have to tell you. This is going to be a year to watch for this Eagles team, unfortunately. And I hope it works out well. Otherwise, it's going to be, unfortunately, another long season. We have a lot of time to that. We have the draft to break down. We had the Sixers season. And tomorrow night, we're figuring out some times to be determined. Sixers and Bulls pregame live. We will be hosting it. We will be going over it similar to before. See if we can get some guests on to further discuss some of the Sixers games, including that Western Conference road trip. Gavin, anything else you wanted to say before we wrap up on today's special breaking news?
Real quick, Zach, your Lakers are playing the Big Three tonight, the Bad Boys of Brooklyn. Thank you, Matty Corey. But the Bad Boys of Brooklyn, who you got tonight?
Kevin Durant is out. So is Anthony Davis.
Okay,
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with the home team tonight. I'm gonna roll with the Lakers.
So the pom poms are out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm taking Harden and Kyrie tonight. Let's see what happens.
All right, we'll see again. Brooklyn Nets 18-12 right now, 1.5 games back in the East. So as Sixers fans, we are cheering for the Lakers tonight. But with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on our special news reporting. Carson Wentz being traded to the Indianapolis Colts. And Gavin, any final words before we wrap up?
Oh yeah, Naomi Osaka beat Serena Williams yesterday. That hurt as much as it hurt for me to see Serena lose. I'm proud of Naomi Osaka. She's also a second favorite tennis player, so I hope she wins it all.
Going to the final. Yep.
Hope you come back next year.
Going to the final in the Australian Open, and as we speak, in I believe it's Los Angeles, the Genesis Invitational has kicked off. A couple big names playing this week there. Let's see if Bryson DeChambeau can come out and silence some of the haters and pull off his first PGA Tour win of the year. But with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching us today. We appreciate it. Have a good one.
Have a good one, everybody. Eagles, stop disappointed. I can't, man.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.